All right, good afternoon, friends. So for my activity, I created a comparing densities activity that is taking forever to load. So I'm just going to stall for a second while we talk, and then it's going to go, and it's going to be awesome. So comparing densities is going to be a Kool-Aid versus salt water. All right, so what is the idea here? We are finishing our unit on mixtures and solutions, where we did a lot of talk about solute, solvent, solution, and we ended with density. And they have experience testing density. We did several different methods. And they also have learned the kind of the basic atomic reason for density, and that relationship between mass and volume, and why different atoms might make different solutions have varying densities. So basically, so they had some kind of procedural knowledges with the tests and what that looked like, but they also had some of the content knowledge with why densities might change. Okay, so what level of inquiry was this activity? And then you get an idea of what the activity was. So this is somewhere between structured and guided. So I do provide the question. I'm saying, hey, what is more dense, Kool-Aid or salt water? But students are the one that make their own procedures. I put make in quotations because they're similar procedures that we've done in the past. We've done 4 or 5 procedures, and they have to pick 3. So the things that we've done, but the students get to say which ones that they actually want to do. And then very importantly, the students actually get to analyze the results and draw their own conclusions. So that bops it up in a level to more of a guided inquiry. Let me see. And then at the end, we can then see what guesses they can make about the atomic nature of the solutions based off of their findings. So it's connecting it back to some of the content. Okay, the STEM perspective here was mostly a science activity that includes one of the others. This one I said it's kind of includes engineering because we have to make some engineering choices about what tests to run, and then they could actually make some schematics and about what those tests would look like. I could have included math, but I'm thinking with my 5th grade students that would have really diluted the activity. I want them to focus on the test and the density and now do some math, and then when you're done adding your decimals, come back and remember I felt like by the time we would get done with all of this inclusion, we may have lost some of our focus on the science. So that was kind of a purposeful decision on my part. Okay, our first test here, the red is Kool-Aid and the blue is salt water. The first test was to drop one of these gram coins in that float in salt water, but sink in regular water. So the coin sunk in both of these, so it actually didn't give us any information. So we had to go to the next test, which was the next test, which is our favorite, is the straw test. So you use a pipette to put the liquid, the solution in each straw, and then you see which one goes to the bottom. In this case, the blue is the salt water, and that traveled to the bottom. It also did it in this one. It's just not quite as clear, and the red is at top. So this one would show us that the Kool-Aid was less dense. And our other test is to have the same amount of water, or the same amount of solution, and then weigh them. And then the one that's more dense is going to be heavier. Now this one says that the Kool-Aid is more dense. But the questions that we talked about in class and brought up was that we may not have measured correctly because we felt that the straw test was more conclusive. So what would I change going in the future to make it a higher level of inquiry? Students may bring in their own materials from home. We would have solutions that have more obvious differences. These ones, it wasn't super obvious, which also gave it some merit because we were able to talk about the validity of tests. And then also the students would then create a presentation to share the results and defend their position, just again to increase that level of inquiry. And really quick for my actual density worksheet here, that was included that was included with the activity. The students had to come up with their what 3 tests they were going to use. And then, sorry, my internet's really slow. The 3 tests that they would use, and then underneath that, they would say what their test was and whether it was conclusive or not. And that was something we added. We talked about conclusive tests? Did it prove what we thought it proved? So they would finish this, and then we talked about it. I went a little bit over my time, but tried to be informational. Thank you very much.